looking dapper.
Fatebinder, your return to court is later than I expected. Were it not for Bleden Mark offering to vouch for your actions, I would have stripped you of title and the protections of Kyros.
Tunon, Archon of Justice, regards you from his podium. I apologize for the delay, Your Honor.
Accepted. Don't make a habit of truancy in the future. It's unbecoming for an officer of the court.
Noted. Woof! I'm back in the good graces of my boss. Ah, thank goodness. Woof.
Let us speak of Ascension Hall. We have all manner of discordant and conflicting stories to piece together. In your own words, tell the court what transpired.
I'm a loyal agent of Kyros. Those who slander me seek only to sow discord. The conduct of Adjudicating and Scarlet Court displeased me greatly. I ended the siege as I saw fit. I took the Citadel and satisfied Kyros' command. To this end, are my means not justified? I'm glad that I went to Bleden first, because the fact that Bleden vouched for me kind of makes me feel like if I hadn't, then maybe the whole thing with Bleden wouldn't have panned out at all. It's interesting how this went down. The very fact that coming here late is acknowledged and that Bleden spoke well and prevented me from being basically sacked kind of makes me feel, to quote Morpheus and from The Matrix, like, you know, it couldn't have gone any other way. And how do you know? Because I'm still alive. It went exactly as it was meant to go. But it is interesting. I'm really curious how that might have panned out if I'd done it differently. Because that was my initial choice. It was like, I'm going to go straight there because I've been summoned by my boss and I respect my boss. And then it was like, well, I got a parchment with a secret message on it. This is amazing. So, yeah. It's one or two. It's not three. I'm not going to lie to my boss, but how I phrase this. I took the Citadel and satisfied Kyros' command. To this end, are my means not justified? The conduct of the disfavored in the Scarlet Chorus displeased me greatly. I ended the siege as I saw fit. I'm going to go with number two, because that is literally, that I pored over that decision for so long, and it ultimately came down to neither one is strong enough to do this. I will take care.
Even if that meant alienating your former allies, driving a rift between the court and the military, and potentially upending what we've spent 3 years building together. I wish I shared your confidence, Fatebinder.
Well, I mean...
The court will ponder the testimonies we've received, and judge the matter in its proper course.
Very well.
For the time being, you will continue to travel on your own accord and dispense justice to both sides of this civil war. If your presence is required here in court, we will find you.
Very well.
You are dismissed.
Well, I mean... Blood mulch, what a name. They're wandering around. I guess I can just talk with people at this point. Rhogalus. Fatebinder, you return. Rhogalus looks you up and down with an inscrutable expression. You look as if you have questions for me to untangle. Ask. I am feeling generous. Tell me about some of the past items. What did you study when you were younger? What do you think about the other Fatebinders? Can you tell me about the old walls and the Bane? I'd like to know more about the Tears. I want to talk about the Sages. That's kind of where I'd like to go, so yes. I will not speak of the Sages. They are no better than charlatans and cons, wholly selfish in their ill pursuit to hoard all knowledge from others. They are blinded by their own deceptions and clever manipulations. They alone cause their own undoing and are solely to blame for the burning library, one of the most grievous wrongs in the known histories for which they can never be forgiven. All right. Can you tell me about Old Walls and the Bane? With which should I start? Old walls. We know little enough about the ancient structures, save that they predate all historical record. The forbidden ruins crisscrossed the Tiers and North alike centuries before we raised our cities. The only one old enough to guess is likely Kyros. And the Bane? The Bane are found in the old walls, but much of their defining qualities still escape me. They are creatures of smoke, claw, and fang. If you find yourself unfortunate enough to fight one, remember that spells are effective against them. But grab the attention of others lurking... Oh, okay, so spells do work on them, but they will bring more. Right. Okay, discuss something else, as you will. Tell me of the Tiers. The political entities of the Tiers are essentially split between the Bastard Tier and the Young Realms, and the free cities, of which would you like to know? Tell me of the Bastard Tier. The Bastard Tier is the most northern of the Tiers and was the first to bow to Kyros' reign. Though the knee they bent fell unwillingly, Kyros had his eye on the Bastard Tier for many years before he marched on her capital city. This is the hub of trade and commerce. Claim the markets and the people will follow. And what of the Younger Realms? The Younger Realms sprawl the middle and southernmost tiers and can be catalogued as follows: Apex, Azure, Haven, and Stalwart. Azure was renowned for its exceptionally fertile lands, which fed the whole of the tiers. That was before Kyros' Edict of Stone blighted the land. I do think that Tilly just jumped in. Is there a Tilly in my room? No. No, there does not appear to be a Tilly in my room. Whew. Okay. Stalwart is also worth mention, for it comprises the whole of the southernmost tiers and provides the toughest and most defensible of the realms. It is often said that the other realms will not fall while Stalwart still stands. The local army wages bitter war against the disfavoured. Though the Edict of Storms has cut off the best of their defences, it is only a matter of time before Stalwart falls. And now about the free cities. There are 3 free cities remaining: Last Harbour, Spirals Moor, and Bears in Chains. The first and strongest of the free cities was the Setting Sun, which Kyros crushed in 429 with the Edict of Tumult. After that, the remaining free cities were quick to surrender. What do you think about the other Fatebinders? You'll need to be more specific than that, I'm afraid. There is, on last count, slightly more than a handful of us. What about the Fatebinder of War? Nunoval's keen, brash, and hearty braggart with a fondness for bloodshed. He can be utterly unbearable at times. His justice is fair, even if he skews towards rather exacting and uncompromising punishments at times. And the Fatebinder of Balance. Calio is the finest amongst us. Her discernment is beyond reproach, and she is perhaps Tunon's favourite. She has a mind for suspicion and observation that makes others uneasy. We who operate within the confines of the law have nothing to fear, of course. And what of me? You take liberties with the freedom Tunon offers us. In spite of that, your objectivity is beyond question. You would, I think, execute plaintiff and defendant if neither was worthy in your eyes. Wow. You're not worthy of a judgment. Off with both of your heads. But sire, no, off with the heads. I've spoken. Wow. Let's talk about something else. Where did you study when you were younger? I've been a ward of the court for as long as I've been away. As a child, I demonstrated wholly perfect recall, and I absorbed all that Tunon and my tutors had to offer. I remember hating all the lecturers and wishing I could learn at my pace. Funny how I envied the sages of the tiers, how they could spend their whole lives reading and never exhaust their library. Of course, now the Vellum Citadel is nothing more than a burning waste. Okay, well tell me about some of the past Archons. Rin, the second Archon of Lightning, often struggles to control the power that roiled within him. If he suffered but a single slip of concentration, he risked an instant electrocution to his touch. Or so he claimed after killing the first Archon of Water during a diplomatic embrace. I see. Fatebinder Calio. Greetings. Your exploits at Vendrian's Well are the topic of much discussion. One begins to question the intent behind your methods, Aavak. I hope you are not wandering a path from which you cannot return. In spite of my reservations, I am most curious to hear of your travels. What can I do for you? Calio touches a gentle hand to your shoulder. Okay, interesting. I think I'm on my way. You seem to know much of my actions. Have you been spying on me? How have you occupied your time in the Bastard City? I'd like to know more about Tunon. I have some concerns about the war. I'd like to know more about Tunon. Tunon is our overlord's fair and exacting adjudicator. He speaks with the voice of Kyros law, and his word is judgment. All of this and more you can learn by asking him yourself. Go on, or does he intimidate you still? She chuckles softly. I jest, of course. How have you occupied your time in the Bastard City? Tunon sends me on assignments here and there. I settle disputes between the locals when the adjudicator is otherwise occupied. She smirks. Everything from trade disagreements to pushing chorus squatters out of basements. Real rewarding work. She waves it off. The glory of war is not an honor reserved for the likes of us. We're the fish swimming in Tunon's wake, picking up scraps along the way. We're rather large and imposing compared to the bottom feeders of the tiers, but fish all the same. Has anything happened while I was away? There have been whispers that Cairn grew disloyal to Gravenash's command during the campaign in Azure. I took up the mantle of investigating near Plainsgate and judging the rumours to be true, dispatched Cairn by proclaiming Kyros' Edict of Stone. The very earth turned against the traitorous Archon as the region split asunder in righteous judgment. Oh, wow. I see. I'm not going to confess my concerns about the war for now. Farewell. The rest of my cards I'm holding close to my chest. Nunoval, I will not pretend to understand the strategic decisions you have made, but they are yours all the same. The Fatebinder of War claps you with excessive strength on the back, a greeting and a warning both. Even so, I am curious about your travels in the tiers. Come, let us speak freely. Well, how were you singled out to become a Fatebinder? I cannot speak for the other Fatebinders, but I joined the court when I was yet still a boy and impetuous beyond reason. I had been imprisoned with a death sentence for the crime of desecrating corpses. He laughs hard and hearty. It was nothing so exciting as you're no doubt imagining. I was merely burning corpses that awaited burial before the local authority could see me to the gallows. The adjudicator claimed me a great talent waiting to be realized, needing only to be steered. Why burn the bodies? Corpses piling up in the streets spread plague faster than the filthiest of rats. I was but 10, a weak fighter. I did what I could for my homeland. Why was it a crime? There was a time when even the Northmen were a superstitious stock, a time before Kyros brought reason to the realms. The people of my city believed that, without proper rites, I was cheating our fallen warriors from returning to the land. It was a good thing that Tunon spared you then. As I have said, the Adjudicator saw within me something of rare value, as is true for us all. You as well were chosen for our great court, for which I am grateful. As the Fatebinder of War, I rely heavily on your talents. That seemed to please Tunon. I guess because I agreed with Tunon's ruling. Okay, let's talk about something else. That's actually pretty cool. I'm curious about Tunon's masks. No, I'm not going to ask about that. Could you remind me of the history and origins of the Fatebinders? The seasoned warrior rubs a finger against a line of stubble along his cheek. We're a relatively young order, though we have spanned these past 2 centuries. While the voices of Norat and Gravenash need armies to execute their will, Tunon wields but a modest court of vassals. We exist as the extensions of his law. There is no place in all of Taratus beyond our judgment. I would hear of your past victories in the war of recent events. Have you not yet tired of my tales, Aavak? I do admit I never tire of telling them, he laughs, hearty indeed. Very well then, let me champion the feats of my conquest. Let the glory of Kyros' reign fall on any ears that would hear it. I had a recent and inspiring exchange with a few brave men who had trespassed in the old walls. In fact, I haven't enjoyed a spar quite so much in ages. It nearly felt ashamed to put to the sword for their crimes. Okay. Tell me about Kyros' armies, our allies. Ah, yes, with friends like these, our work is often self-explanatory. We're just asking about the Scarlet Chorus or the disfavored? Scarlet Chorus. Well, the Scarlet Chorus soldiers hail from every corner of every realm. As the chorus marches, it conscripts indiscriminately from those it has conquered to replenish its ranks. There's no continuity of command in the chorus. Narat encourages even the strong to challenge their leaders. But the chorus has numbers, and brute force is almost always a viable solution, much as Rhogalus insists otherwise. Besides, the Scarlet Chorus draws strength from the multitudes it swallows. Its blood chanters have taken knowledge from various tiers mystics, and many of the chorus' best soldiers were grown here in the south. And what of the disfavored? Hey, Akasa! How you doing? Thank you for dropping by. Oh, I'm sorry that my room was too warm for you. I was wondering why you decided to leave after and get up from your nap. Casa, by the way, was napping on my couch behind me. But yes, my room does get very, very hot. The disfavored are the iron tip of Kyros' great phalanx, armed with the best weapons and the most comprehensive training, and led by the brilliant Graven Ash. The disfavored have no equals in open battle. The Legion has a saying, Graven Ash protects, and it's no empty boast. The Archon of War is able to lend his will and strength to his soldiers and give them endurance beyond human limits. I have great respect for the disfavored, but I know where I stand. With them. They are a very close-knit band, all of them from the northern families, many of them related to each other. Nunoval sighs, his smile wistful, but considering our role in the great hierarchy, I can't fault Graven Ash for being so selective. Okay, well. I'm not going to talk about this, because I don't want to sound boastful. But this seems perhaps not something I should ask, so I'm not going to. For now, at least. Let's talk to Cordius. My Lord Tunon, I must plead for my innocence in this matter. That will be for the court to decide. The Forge-bound are my subjects, and I hold them to a higher standard. You are the keepers of the Iron Secret. That cannot be forgotten. Fatebinder, so kind of you to join us. I wonder if you might assist in adjudicating this case. As always, I'm curious to witness your execution of Kyros law. It would be my pleasure, Your Honor. Excellent. Smith, offer up your testimony. The forge-bound artisan clears his throat. I bought a shiny bauble from a merchant passing through Lethian's Crossing, a stone of great beauty and strength. Over time, I shaped it into a mallet for pounding iron. The properties of the stone were incredible. I could swing harder, faster, and without strain. It increased my production of iron weapons tenfold. Until your master grew suspicious and turned you over to me. The bauble you speak of was a touchstone, an artifact known to originate from the old walls, to which all are forbidden to go. The charge is trespass and theft of forbidden artifacts. You may proceed, Fatebinder. Did you know where the touchstone came from? Not at first. The merchant wouldn't reveal his sources, but it didn't take long to put the pieces together. You just don't encounter objects of such power anywhere else. When you realized the object's source, did you stop using it? No. Once I had it figured out, every swing of my mallet shamed me something awful. But I knew that I was doing right by Kyros. I was sending his army the best weapons I'd ever crafted. I thought that might absolve me. Guess I thought wrong. Did you ever lie about using the mallet? No. That is, the other smiths were curious about my work, but no one thought to inspect my tools. Since no one asked, I never told them. A lie of omission, then. Just as nefarious in the eyes of Kyros. What if your arcane tool had harmed someone, or yourself? What then would have become of your iron production? I don't know, Your Honor. Interesting. I'm ready to give my ruling. I trust in your instincts, Fatebinder. Make sure my confidence is not misplaced. The smith never betrayed Kyros. He should go free. The artifact and its use were forbidden. The smith is guilty. Forbidden knowledge is taboo under Kyros law, but the smith was ignorant. He should go free. Let him return. See, this one is an interesting one, because I could go for it. He didn't know. But he worked it out. He felt shame, but kept using the item. He knew he was doing something wrong. If he had never worked it out, then I would say he was ignorant and he should go free. But he knew, he worked out that the artifact was forbidden. He didn't stop using it at that point. If that had been different, then I would say he was that he was free. Being ignorant of the law is not exemption from the law, but I feel that clemency could have been offered if his initial response to learning of the transgression was to immediately seek absolution, to seek forgiveness by some method or means. If he threw himself upon the mercy of the court immediately upon realizing his mistake and turned over the item for destruction or sealing away, whatever we might do, then it would be reasonable to offer him some light punishment. He would still be guilty, but I feel that ultimately he knew. He carried on using it. He just didn't tell anyone because they didn't ask. The artifact and its use were forbidden. The smith is guilty. Oh no! He winces in anticipation of a coming blow. Such is the will of Kyros. Though I'm loath to see iron production fall, I cannot abide improvisation in the ranks of my forge-bound. What of the punishment, Fatebinder? I can rely on you to determine a proportional response. Losing a hand would mean he couldn't smith. 3 days in the stocks would be a tiny thing. Brand his face, death. Death would also remove iron production. I'm going to say brand his face. Yes, a mark of punishment, a sigil of shame to wear across the remainder of his years. A burden in youth, but a lesson with age. You are as uncompromising as I ever taught you to be in your execution of Kyros law. Well done, Fatebinder. The court is adjourned. I did well in front of my boss. Hooray! I do want to check how I'm seen by... Oh, wow, wow, okay. Nice. Very good. That, not so much. That, very much, though. Okay, so, with that done, I could talk with Tunon a little bit more, I guess? Maybe. Let's see if I can speak with my boss. You return. It is gratifying to see that the war has not caused you to forget your roots. What is it you wish to know? I have a request from Barik of the Stone Shields. I'm going to honor that request. And what does Barik of the Stone Shields want of the court? He has made his displeasure known in a loud enough voice to collapse the tears upon each other. The adjudicator glances down at Barik. He came to inquire if the forge-bound could help remove his armor. See, this is why I wanted him in my group. If he has become encased in iron, that is none of the court's concern. My forge-bound smiths are occupied crafting weapons for the army, and I would not have their focus diverted to liberate one soldier from his raiment. Stone Shield, do the disfavored not have standards for the upkeep of arms and armor? Is this not one of your Archon's guiding principles? It is, Your Honor, but I found myself trapped in this junk pile after the Edict of Storms hit Stalwart. If you want to blame anyone, oh my god, what did you just say, Barik? Oh my god, I feel at this moment that I would actually be, like, my face would just my expression would just melt. And I might even take a step back. The adjudicator contemplates the matter in total silence. The moment drags on for far longer than you would expect it warrants, but Tunon's interest does not abate for a moment. The soldier will remain encased in his armor, eccentric though it may be, and all subjects of Kyros are forbidden to aid in its removal. Magic the likes of which none of us understands has touched the stone shield, and we will not interfere with the will of Kyros. But I'm trapped, Barik trails off, looking to you for answers. No, Tunon has spoken. I'm not going to ask Tunon to reconsider. As the Archon of Justice, I must believe that his judgments are just. You would only ever need someone to reconsider if you thought they were fallible. Such is the will of Kyros and the will of the court. Tunon nods and bangs his gavel. You tried, and I suppose that counts for something. The adjudicator didn't say anything about me bending my way out of here. At least, not that trying has ever made it better. Well, I wish to speak about matters of law. Then you are well situated, for my court is the legal heart of the corrupt and uncivilized realm. What matters draw your curiosity? You are already well versed in Kyros laws, but I am happy to discuss the particulars. Yeah, but the thing with Tunon is he's not... These are not regular forces. It isn't just a man making a judgment based on limited knowledge. The Archon of Justice... Now, this comes down to my not entirely certain of the Archon's powers, but I'm assuming that the Archon of Justice effectively has powers which lend them an analytical, cold interpretation of the law, and which is impartial of emotions. Now, that might still mean that without sufficient knowledge, he can pass poor judgments that when brought, that when you shine a light of further knowledge on, are shown to be incorrect, but with the knowledge that they had access to were as good a judgment as could be made. I don't know. It is an assumption, though, and I don't know enough about the character to be able to make it with complete certainty. Okay, I wish to discuss Kyros' peace. The cornerstone of our wartime efforts, of course. Kyros' peace guarantees all willing supplicants under the Overlord's authority a place in her world. Aha! In her world. Have I been misreading things, or have a bunch of people referred to the Overlord as a he? I feel that lots of people have referred to Kyros as a he. Have I just been misreading things? If so, I feel really, really bad. Kyros' peace guarantees all willing supplicants under the Overlord's authority a place in her world. The exact wording of the bylaw is, your life is not yours to discard. The Overlord has plans for you. This extends to several spheres of influence. Among others, it grants protection to enemies who surrender in a time of war, and it forbids suicide. To dispense with the Overlord's vassal and property is prohibited. Remind me of the Magician's Folly? Practitioners of the arcane arts must be sanctioned by one of Kyros' guilds, such as the Blood Chanters or Forgebound. Rogue magicians with tenuous grasp of unknown powers will not be tolerated. A sanctioned mage whose spellcasting causes damage to life or property is lawfully deemed innocent. As long as they practice their art in the service of Kyros, all is forgiven. Oh, that's pretty bloody open-ended. Let us discuss the old wall. I don't know. That's fairly forbidden, I would have thought. The old walls are forbidden, as are their contents and their denizens. Owning any item from old walls is considered trespass, regardless of how it came into your possession. Mind that in the course of your travels. As the old walls extend across much of the tiers and Northern Empire alike, Kyros permits her servants to pass only where she has sculpted the landscape to permit traverse. Under no circumstances are you to enter a breach in the old walls, even for a task as innocent as crossing to the other side. If these restrictions seem too severe, I would remind you that they are for the protection of Kyros subjects. The Overlord has no desire to see harm needlessly inflicted upon her loyal followers. Let's speak of courtesan sharing. The harvest blooms and blights by the will of Kyros. In times of lean, you will be fed. In times of wealth, you will feed others. This law is a sizable category unto itself, serving many needs at once. Trade and tax being only two examples, the broadest intent of the law is to empower Kyros subjects to care for their neighbour and to expect care in return. You might take note of the law's application to trade. A merchant's right to peddle their wares is defined by permits granted annually. The regional authority has the right to decide if a merchant sells cabbage one year and sandals the next. Anyone breaking through their restrictions is subject to immediate forfeiture of all assets. You need not concern yourself over the nuances, at least until they apply to this contested realm in a time of peace. Curious about the... I'm not going to ask, am I beholden to these laws? Of course I am. I'm curious about the restriction on forbidden knowledge. No, I feel that is a dangerous question. Sometimes curiosity is not to be rewarded. Sometimes curiosity gives a hint at where your mind is going, and your mind shouldn't be going there. That's all for now. Back to my previous questions. Tell me about Bleden Mark. I would like to talk about that. He is my headsman and an assassin without equal. His official designation is Kyros Hierarchy, the Archon of Shadows, though I wonder what he ever considers himself aught but a slayer of the unjust. How did he earn his title? His work away from the court takes Bleden Mark to the dark places of the world, the Tiers and Northern Empire alike. Over time, Shadows became his dominion. They cloak him, protect him, and even fight for him if the need arises. It is said that Bleden Mark can travel to any place where shadows are cast. Only he would know this for certain. Does Bleden Mark serve you alone? No, I'm not going to ask that either, because I assume that... Well, go on then. I assume that he serves Kyros. Your question is flawed. We are all servants of Kyros. Yeah, see, I knew that was coming. The Archon are also agents of their own interests. Those chosen... few empowered to bring order to the world in accordance with Kyros' peace. At present, Bleden Mark is my vassal, and I his patron. The relationship is not so different from Graven Ash and Cairn, the fallen Archon, or the voices of Norat and his songbird, Sirin. Such partnerings and apprenticeships are common. They provide mutual benefits to the Archons involved, as well as a measure of oversight. Okay. I'm not going to ask about Kyros. I don't think it's my place to ask. She didn't try too hard to distract Tunon and ask him. She was in here getting her drink, though she did catch my eye. And I was very pleased that it was caught. I'm curious about you, Archon. I think that would... I am not sure about that one. Yeah, actually, I'll ask about the restriction on forbidden knowledge. Kyros herself sets the standards of what can and cannot be known. These restrictions are rarely enforced, but they are worth taking into account. During the war, for example, Kyros deemed the knowledge of the Vellum Citadel taboo. No one may possess the wisdom of that fallen repository, save Kyros herself. Calling it all taboo seems a bit like overkill, but to play Kyros' advocate, the world would hardly be safer if all had access to the law of making poisons or the art of arming brigands in fine bronze. This is for the protection of his subjects. Before the coming of Kyros during the ages of anarchy and discord, powerful knowledge in undeserving hands leveled empires without thought or mercy. Kyros has no desire to revisit those dark times. Okay. I have no more questions. Then be on your way. Very well. I could, I suppose, go and talk with the Scarlet Chorus and the likes over here. I think that might be a good idea. Bit equip, blood mulch, and mocking gaze. I'd immolate you right here where you stand if it weren't for Tunon's breathing down our necks. He ignores you with a stern and distant expression. Fatebinder, you're no stranger to Tunon's court, but I prefer to spend as little time here as possible. In spite of these closed walls, I feel strangely exposed. Glances up at Tunon. I don't know how you plan on fighting this war without an army, or what you think you can accomplish on your own, but I'm dying to find out. You'll make our time in the tiers an interesting one, won't you? He smiles for an uncomfortably long time. Of course you will. Well, let's go and have a chat with the disfavored, and then we're going to leave. At long last. It's been a long while we've been over here. Hello, Aurora. Aurora avoids making any eye contact with you, but instead carries on speaking with her companions. I am duty-bound to remain civil to you in this vaunted court, but don't push it, traitor. Fatebinder, the lieutenant gives you a curt nod. I'm ill at ease in this polished hall, but I admit that it's a reprieve from the battlefield and training grounds. If Ash needs me to stay here and represent his interests throughout the occupation, then I'll be up to the task. I've gained favour. Can't be worse than our days in Lethian's Crossing. Joking aside, you were generous to grant the disfavored control over the city. Even the Iron Legion needs a break from the front every once in a while. Oh, well, that's actually a little bit surprising that I gained a little bit of favour with them. Very interesting. Okay, that's us done. I wonder if Lady Lucretius has anything more to say? No. Okay. Oh. Oh, hello. Welcome back, kid. Amusing as it would have been to watch the edict drop, I guess I'm glad you lived. Red Mark, Arcan's shadow rouses from a faraway stare, turning to face you with a wry smile. Though he stands still, he seems to sift in and out of the shadows that shroud him. At first, his words seem odd. After all, you two have met in Ashwald between the edict breaking over Vendrance. It doesn't seem odd to me at all, my lord. When you shoot him a curious look, he raises his red-painted eyebrow in return, a secretive smirk quirking the corner of his mouth. Clearly, he doesn't want you mentioning your clandestine meeting in the presence of the court. Good to see you again after so long. His eyes glint with approval, and he gives you a subtle nod to seal the exchange. I love how his sigil is like nothing. That's amazing. Want to know something? The Archon's voice ends on a playful melody, and the red face paint above his jawline creases with a smile. No, not really. I don't know if I'm not going to forget knowing it. Okay. Nice. You gained even more. You were in a lose-lose situation. Not saying the Adjudicator was wrong to send you into certain death. Someone had to read the edict, but I like your type, kid. You're the right combination of capable and too damned stubborn to die that not only survives, but thrives on suicide missions. Wow, we're at favor 2 already, and 4% in it at that. The Archons fighting damn well didn't help your chances. Can't say I'd have done different if it was my life on the line. Everyone's keeping an eye on you, because you did something nobody has done before. Got a guess at what that might be? The first Fatebinder to engage a war against an allied soldiers, and the first Fatebinder to proclaim 2 edicts. I'm the first to resolve an edict before its consequences came to pass. The first Fatebinder to awaken a spire. of the old walls. The first person to take an evasive stance against your rhetorical questions. Let me guess, I'm the first Faithbinder Kyros has decided to promote to some position of authority. Glare silently. See, there's dodging it or just not playing the game. I'm not gonna not play the game. I think he's a bit of a playful one. He likes the game. And first Faithbinder to proclaim 2 edicts. I don't know. I kind of like this one. I think he might find it funny, but it could also backfire massively. I'm going to say this one, that awoke a spire of the old walls. But then it's the old walls thing, and that's super not okay. The first Fatebinder to proclaim 2 edicts? I'll go with that one. Well, actually, no, that's too obvious. Am I the first to resolve it before its consequences came to pass? Okay, Caster, I'll try not to Sparta a bunch of people. I'm not sure. I'm fairly certain loads of people have said that I am the first Fatebinder to proclaim 2 edicts, though. I am really torn between 4 and 2. This one I don't really think matters at all. This one would be kind of funny, but I don't think he'd find it that funny. Yeah, I'm going to go with 2. Smart guess. But there have been a few others over the centuries to have outlived the honour of proclaiming twice. But sure, it's true that most don't survive it. Okay. In one fell swoop, you survived your second edict, resolved the very one you had proclaimed, and woke an arcane structure that had slept for several centuries. I should have cared about any of this, so why are you telling me this? Did I do something wrong? And now I go on your short list of people who stand out as potential problems? Oh, did I miss something? Oh, yes, so I did. Smart guess, but there have been a few, most don't survive it. Proclaiming an edict isn't new, neither is surviving or resolving the commandments of an edict. But you're the first to proclaim and resolve the very same edict, and it didn't kill you. What else? Ah, right, okay, I get it. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to go with 4. I think that's the most obvious one. And now I go on your shortlist of people who stand out as potential problems. More or less. Mostly more. He offers you a dangerous grin. Wow, we're up to favor 3 with Bled and Mark. That happened quickly. I don't care what you do with the information, but you should know the danger you're in now that you've put yourself on the map. Since you don't seem big on playing nice with the Archons, you can bet both of their armies are going to try to cut you down as soon as you go forward. Watch out for a knife in your back. Thanks for the advice. The Archon of Shadows shrugs to you in farewell, but his golden eyes are alight with interest as he watches you. Wow, almost a tier 4 with Bled and Mark. That's amazing. Does that give me anything? No, I don't get anything for it, but I can go all the way up to level 5. Interesting. Alright, we got something. Quests. Okay, speak with Barik. Tunon ruled that Barik is the remaining armor forbade citizens of Kyros' dominion for help to remove it. Perhaps you should discuss Barik's predicament with him. Stirring... Oh, actually, hide these. Stirring visions. Gained access to the Haven. Old walls at Lathin's Crossing. Travel there and find a way to gain access to the Spire. Path to power. The next step in the rise to power lies with the Silent Archive. Alright. Well, let's have a chat with Barik, I think. Only the slightest nod of Barik's domed helm offers any indication that the soldier noticed your approach. Didn't turn out like you hoped, did it? I'm going to just ask, honestly. Are you okay in there, Barik? The Archon's decision changes nothing. I have persevered to this point. I shall continue to do so, for the sake of General Ash and the North. Maybe I could ask, well, there may be another way. Your master was very specific in his sentence. He forbade not only assistance from the Forge-bound, but from anyone, anywhere in the world. No, he did not. He forbade specifically subjects of Kyros. You split hairs, Binder. The whole of the world bends the knee to the Overlord. If that were the case, we wouldn't be in the tiers. No, literally, that's obvious. Perhaps there's some other way. You're not suggesting we ask some renegade mage for aid? Well, he didn't like that too much. You would discard the spirit of the law in favor of its letter? Perhaps some other way to free you will present itself. Your optimism does you credit, Fatebinder, though I fear it misapplied. Regardless, we should speak with the Forge-bound, if only to know what our options are. I oversaw Lathin's Crossing during the war. The Forge-bound, they know me. The Forge-bound will be curious about you regardless. The articulation on your armor is incredible. At the very least, we should let them take a look at you. I'm gonna go with Conquest. Knowing you and being willing to brave the Adjudicator's wrath for you are two wholly separate things. Let us leave, Fatebinder. I worry that my presence offends those nobles' precious sensibilities. Bows his head to you and moves away, trailing behind him the wafting reek of fetid privy. I feel so sorry for Barik. So sorry. Oh, my lord.